Hi, I'm attorney Greg Dell, and I'm here with attorney Stephen Jessup. How are you, Steve?
I'm doing great, Greg. How about you?
Good. Today I want to talk about this recent case that just came out of the Northern District of Illinois, and it was a case against the Hartford Disability Insurance Company. As you know, we've handled hundreds, if not thousands, of cases against Hartford, and this was a case where it wasn't handled by our law firm, but it was a reported case, and it's an important discussion because I think it will help a lot of our clients and a lot of claimants out there that have dealt with Hartford and unfortunately been denied benefits by Hartford. So, as you and I discussed this case before the filming today, this was the classic Hartford denial where after 24 months of paying benefits, it switches to the any occupation definition of disability for which a person has experience, education, or training, and Hartford went ahead and denied the benefits at that point. So, in this case, the person was a nurse, and I think as I told you, they said that she could be a deputy sheriff or a building inspector. So what was interesting is that while she had lots of conditions for her shoulder, for her back, for her neck, as well as cognitive impairments, the court basically said Hartford ignored those things. But when you're handling these cases, how important is it to bring out the relationship between the physical injury and the cognitive impairments? And what does that mean, the cognitive impairments?
I think the most important thing is usually, as you know, with any pain condition, there's usually a quote-unquote cognitive issue or sometimes a secondary mental health, whether it be depression. And the cognitive impairment doesn't necessarily mean that it's being caused due to depression or anxiety, but whether it's a matter of how much pain you are in or even the medication you take, it can make you foggy. I always liken it if you have a really bad cold, usually at work all you think about is my head hurts, I'm just sick, I don't feel well. And people who are in chronic pain have that. It's always on their mind because they're always feeling or experiencing it. So it's really important to also make sure that the records are documenting that, and especially if it's from a side effect of medication, because many of the medications used to treat these chronic pain conditions are very, very strong and have a litany of side effects. If it's not documented in your medical records, most insurance companies will take the approach and opinion, well, if it's not noted, then you must not be having an issue. So it's always important to make sure that you're seeing pain as a spectrum beyond the physical nature of it and how it's also affecting your ability to focus and concentrate.
Right, and one of the ways to document it, which was done in this case against Hartford, is through some sort of psychological testing, whether it's testing with a psychologist, psychiatrist, or a neuropsychological testing to show what kind of impairments you're having and how those impairments would prevent you from doing any type of job. Recently I've been reviewing some denials where the disability carrier looks at the record, usually it says mental status normal. Mm-hmm. And that basically means, are you looking like a normal person, or are you falling off the table, or are you slurring your speech, you're not able to speak? And those are people who have like serious brain problems. That's not the type of cognitive impairment that we're talking about, but the disability carriers interpret it as to that type of severe cognitive impairment, which is ridiculous because that's not what's stopping. That obviously stops someone from working, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about sitting at your desk or being on a job site, and while you're supposed to be thinking about your job, you're thinking about, I can't turn my neck, or my back's really bothering me, or my shoulder, or whatever, and this pain, how am I supposed to focus on what's coming up in the next 3 or 4 hours? So that type of testing can be documented by your doctor or can be done through neuropsych testing, like we said. Now, the one thing that happened in this case, which I want to know how you feel about this, is they tried to argue, well, if you're saying cognitive impairment, then you must be subject to our 24-month mental illness limitation. What does that mean?
Well, usually the insurance company will try to make any cognitive impairment based upon a mental health condition, whether it be depression, anxiety, whatever it may be, bipolar, only because of the fact that you usually will find even cognitive deficits in conditions such as that. So what they're then trying to do is liberally apply their own definition of what it's a mental disorder to limit your benefit. And some companies now have even gone so far as writing into their policy that it'll be limited to 24 months if your condition is caused by or contributed by a mental health condition. I believe in this case, the court did find, yes, there's evidence of depression, but that's secondary only to the pain. And the cognitive impairment, especially as set apart in the testing that was done, was tied back to the physical conditions and not any mental health condition that was leading to cognitive impairment. So the insurance company is always going to try to find a way to limit the benefit wherever they can. So it's very important to document properly and present it in such a light to try to avoid these types of road bumps.
Right. I think the key is what you said, is that the cognitive impairment is secondary to the pain. You didn't have the cognitive impairment and then the pain. If you had the cognitive impairment first, that may be an issue that subjects you to a mental illness. But if you have it secondary to pain, which I really don't know someone who's in pain who doesn't have some kind of cognitive impairment, but these disability carriers are notorious for not considering both of them. So if you're in a situation where your disability claim has been denied and you need to file an appeal or you need to file a lawsuit, feel free to call any of our attorneys and we'll let you know right away whether or not we can assist you.